So students, we are going to learn a new chapter, that is chemical kinetics. So let's get started. Now when a chemist studies a chemical reaction, there are following main aspects they look into. One is whether the reaction is feasible or not. Second one, if the reaction is feasible, how fast does the reaction proceed? And the third one, to what extent does the reaction can proceed? So the answer for the first question, that whether the reaction is feasible or not, you have studied in the chapter that is called as thermodynamics, where you have a term called free energy which tells you whether the reaction is feasible or not. Now the answer for the third question, that is, to what extent does the reaction can proceed? So this answer is dealt in the chapter what we call as chemical equilibrium. So remaining is now our second question, how fast does the reaction can proceed? So that means the speed of the reaction. So the speed at which the reaction can occur, that is what you are going to study in this particular chapter under chemical kinetics. So chemical kinetics it's a branch of chemistry which deals with the rate of the reaction and the factors which influences the rate of the reaction. So the word kinetics here is derived from a Greek word called as kinesis, which means movement. So here basically we study the movement of the molecules. Now this kinetic study not only help us to find out the speed of the chemical reaction, but also it describes the condition by which the reaction rates may be altered. Means how can you change the rate? How can you increase or decrease the rate? And the study of the rate of the reaction help us to understand the pathway of the reactants to the product. Okay, that is what we call as mechanism of the reaction. When the reactants goes to form a product, what are the way they try to take it to form that product is what we call as mechanism of the reaction. Okay, so the pathway is also dealt by the chemical kinetics. So basically in this chapter, what we are going to deal is with the speed of the reaction, or I can say the velocity of the reaction. And in physics, you do study about the speed. Now to measure the speed of a vehicle, what you will try to do first is try to measure the distance it has traveled. Then you will measure the time it has taken to travel this distance. So that is what we call as speed, no? So speed is nothing but what distance a particular vehicle has traveled with respect to that particular time. Okay, so speed is basically a factor which depends on the time. Like for example, if two people are running the race, the track, that means the distance which is kept in the track is same, but what decides the speed is the time which they have taken. So if one has completed in a less period of time, that means his speed is higher, and the one who has taken a large time, that means the speed of that particular person is less. Okay, so that is what we call as speed. Now in chemistry we will see how this speed we have to apply for the reaction. So we are going to see how we can, now in chemistry point of view, we will measure the speed of the reaction. So for a chemical reaction to take place, you need a starting substance, that is what we call as reactants, and you know that reactants combine together in a reaction to yield a product. So let's say that you have taken the reactant. Initially you have only the reactant part of it, you have not mixed the reactants. Okay, like there can be 1, 2 or 3 reactants which you might have taken. So let's say that you have reactant. Okay, so initially what you have is only the reactant and you have not mixed it. So at that time T will be 0 because at that point of time you have not mixed them. So initially you have only the reactant with you. So I can say, imagine that 100 molecules you have taken of the reactant. So only 100 molecules of reactants we have with us. So you have not mixed it. That means there is no product formation. So product, I can say it is 0. Okay, so there is nothing being formed. Now, once you mix it, at that point of time, what will happen is this reactant will start reacting. So just say that you have mixed it, and in 1 second you are checking out how much is the reactant remaining. So you saw that 90 molecules of reactants are remaining, and the remaining 10 has gone, they have reacted together and they have formed a product. Okay, so in next period of time, that is time when it is 2 seconds, you are observing that the reactant molecules are reacting and they are decreasing and the product is increasing. So here you have 80 reactant molecules and they are forming a product. So 20 molecules are there in the product. So as the time passes by, as the time increases, you will see that more and more reactants combine together. Okay, so when the reactants are combining together, you see that they are decreasing, and then you observe that the products are being formed. Okay, so if you do this keen observation of reactants and the products, what you see is the concentration of the reactant is decreasing with time, and what is happening for the product is, as the time passes by, you are seeing that there is increase in the production of the concentration of the product. So if you could measure the change in concentration of this reactant and product with respect to time, is what we call as speed of the reaction in chemistry. Okay, so we don't use speed here. What we use instead is what we call as rate of the reaction. So I said, if you are able to measure the change of this reactant which is happening with respect to time, or the product with respect to time, is what we call as rate of the reaction. So rate of the reaction is change in the concentration with the change in the time, or with respect to time. Okay, so you can define this rate of the reaction in terms of reactants, plus you can define them in terms of the product. So if I have to define now in terms of reactants, so if you observe here, what is happening to the concentration of the reactant is, as the time passes by, you are observing that the concentration of the reactant is decreasing. Okay, so with respect to time, it is decreasing. So rate of the reaction, we can say that it is decrease in the concentration of the reactant with the change in the time, or with respect to time. Now observe to the product side. So when you see the speed of the product, what is happening with respect to time? You are seeing that with respect to time, the speed of the product is increasing, means there is increase in the concentration of the product with respect to time. So rate of the reaction for product can be written as increase in the concentration of the product with respect to time. So let us learn about the types of the reaction. So first one is average rate of the reaction. So rate of a reaction for a particular duration of time is what we call as average rate. So particular duration, when I say, when we are talking about for a long duration of time. So rate for a particular duration, when I'm mentioning, we are talking about for a large interval of time. So when you measure the time for like for 1 hour, for 2 hours, for 3 hours, so you are measuring for it for a long time. So that is what we call as average rate of the reaction. So to measure the average rate of the reaction, like experimental wise I'm talking about, so initially you need to measure the initial concentration. Okay, so measure the initial concentration. Let's say at time t1 you are measuring. Okay, then allow the reaction to proceed. Okay, so as the reaction proceeds, you will get another concentration, because some of the molecules of the reactant will consume, some of the products will be formed. So then you measure the final concentration. Okay, so let us take that as time t2. So when you take the difference between this final concentration and this initial concentration with respect to change in the time, you will get the rate of the reaction. Okay, so you are taking the difference between the final and the initial concentration with change in the time. Okay, so I can write rate as, in terms of reactant we are defining now, rate is the change in the concentration with respect to change in the time. So I can write R is equal to, so final concentration of the reactant minus the final concentration minus the initial concentration. So let me take final concentration as R2, subtract with the initial concentration, then take the change in the time. So T2 minus T1, you will get the rate of the reaction. Okay. So now instead of writing this R2 minus R1, we can also write it as delta R divided by delta T. Okay. So here delta symbol indicates the change. Okay. So delta symbol is used to measure the large difference. So to measure the large difference, we make use of delta R. So here delta R is nothing but R2 minus R1. That is final reactant concentration minus the final initial reactant concentration. Okay, so I hope these things are clear. Now one more thing what you have noticed is the square bracket which we have used. Okay, so this square bracket for the reactant you can see here we have used, and there also final concentration and initial concentration I've put in the square bracket. So this square bracket indicates the molar concentration. Okay, so we are going to take molar concentration means we are expressing the concentration in molarity. Okay, so molarity is used to express, so we just put a square bracket. Now one more thing to note, students. Okay, usually when we write the rate of the reaction for the reactant, we put a minus sign. Okay, so you need to put a minus sign, then you are going to write delta R divided by delta T. Now why is that minus sign? So minus sign is because you know that as the time passes by, the concentration of the reactant is decreasing. Okay, so the final reactant concentration will be less than compared to the initial concentration. Final R2 value will be less than the R1 value. So when you subtract, if you have a less value minus the higher value, when you do, you will automatically end up getting a negative value. So this negative value here indicates that the concentration of the reactant is decreasing with respect to the time. Concentration of reactant is decreasing with respect to time. So that is the reason you will be putting a negative sign. Okay, but remember one thing, rate can never be negative. Okay, it is always a positive entity. Like speed can never be negative. You can't see that say that the speed of the vehicle is minus 5 kilometer per hour. Okay, it is always plus 5 kilometer per hour. So similarly with the rate of the reaction also, rate can never be negative. This negative sign only for indicating that with the passage of time, the concentration of the reactant is decreasing. So we shall see now how graphically we can represent this decrease in the concentration with respect to time. Okay, so how can you represent this rate graphically? So on the y-axis I'm going to take concentration of the reactant. So this y-axis we are going to take like how you take speed, no, on the y-axis, then you take time on the x-axis. So time we will be taking on the x-axis. Okay, so initially you know that when time is 0 means at this origin point, no, at this particular point of time you only have concentration of the reactant, there is no product form. So that time you have full of the reactant. So I can say the concentration of the reactant at that period of time is very high. But as the time passes by, what is happening to the reactant? You saw that concentration of the reactant was decreasing. So the slope what you get will be a curve which is going downwards, because initial concentration of the reactant was very high, but as the time passed by, as the time started increasing, you saw that the concentration of the reactant started decreasing. So the slope is automatically going downwards. Okay, now if you want to measure the speed, how will you exactly measure the speed? So you have to point any two intervals. So take any two intervals of time to measure the average speed. Now I will consider a point in this curve. Let me take one point as t1. I will take one time. Okay, so let me take that as t1 and another period of time. Okay, so that let it be t2. So you can imagine like for example a reaction is occurring for 10 hours and you want to measure the rate for 1 hour. Okay, for one particular hour how much the change has happened, what is the speed exactly you want to see. Okay, so 1 hour if you want to measure, 1 hour to the second hour. Okay, 1 hour to second hour you want to measure. So what you need to do is you need to see what is the concentration in the first hour and the time in the first hour. Then you have to go for the second hour and then you have to see in that second hour how much is the concentration. Take the difference in the concentration with respect to change in the time, you will get the rate. Okay, so here I have taken time, so let me take that as t1 here. Okay, at one particular time, and then you have t2. So now check for t1 time how much is the concentration. So t1 time you can see that concentration, let me take that as r1, and when you have t2 time, let that concentration be r2. So take the difference, r2 minus r1, you got the difference. Okay, so this is how in the industrial point of view they plot a graph and they check where the rate of the reaction is maximum, where the rate of the reaction is lower. Okay, so they check this out like this. So you measure the change in the concentration, then you take the time, so T2 minus T1. So when you do this change in the concentration with change in the time, you will be able to get the average rate of the reaction. And always you remember this value, particular value will come out to be, you have to write this negative because the concentration of the reactant R2 value is lesser than compared to the R1 value. Okay, so automatically the rate of the reaction will be, for the reactant it will be negative. So we shall see now how to write the average rate of the reaction in terms of product. So again, you have to take the initial concentration of the product, measure it, and then measure the final concentration of the product with respect to two different time intervals. Take the difference, okay, and then you will be able to get the rate of the reaction for the product. So rate of the reaction for the product, I can say it is concentration of the product of the final concentration of the product minus the initial concentration of the product with respect to change in the time, because you know rate of the reaction is change in the concentration with respect to change in the time. So you need to measure two different intervals, okay, and with different interval of time measure the concentration, you will be able to get the rate. Now this change we can write as delta also. Okay, so P2 minus P1 you can write as delta P divided by delta T. Now in this case, in the case of rate of the reaction of the product, remember the product concentration is increasing with respect to time. So P2 value will be always higher than compared to the P1 value. Okay, so when you take the difference, you will get a positive value. Okay, so rate of the reaction for a product will be always positive, whereas rate of the reaction of the reactant will be always negative because their reactant concentration of final is less than compared to the initial. Here the final is more than compared to the initial. So it is just to identify. Negative means it is for the reactant and positive it will be for the product. But on the whole, students, you need to remember that rate can never be negative, it is always positive. It is only to indicate the what is happening with respect to reactant and with respect to product. Okay, now when we want to plot a graph of this concentration of product versus time, we will take on the y-axis we are taking concentration of the product, on the x-axis we will take the time as like what we have taken before. So when you see, you will observe that initially you don't have any product, no, initially it was zero, but when you mix the reactant you saw that with the passage of time the concentration of the product was increasing. So at this origin of time, initially you will have zero product formation, okay, but with increase in the time the graph value will increase. Okay, so the curve is going upwards. Okay, there it was going downward because rate of the reactant was decreasing. Now here the rate of the product is increasing, so you will have a upward graph, slope will be upward. Okay, so now if you want to again measure at two different interval of time, so I will take T1 as one interval and T2 as another interval. You want to measure the average rate, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. Okay, so at that T1 interval of time, see what is the concentration of the product being formed. Okay, and T2 interval of time, check out what is the concentration of the product it was. Take this difference. Okay, so when you take the difference, you will get here T2 minus T1, you will get delta T value, and when you do P2 minus P1, you will get delta P value. So when you take this delta P divided by delta T, you will be able to get the rate of the reaction. So now we will see the second type of rate of reaction, that is instantaneous rate of reaction. So instantaneous rate of reaction, it is a rate at a particular moment of time. Like if you are measuring for that instant of time, maybe for 1 second or the third second or maybe fifth second, okay, what exactly at that time the concentration of the reaction is, or if you are measuring for a small change, I can say, okay, that delta T value is there, no, that will be nearly ranging to zero. I can say it is like tending to zero. Okay, so time period in this case is very small. Time interval what we are going to take is very small here. Okay, so similarly you can write the rate of the reaction like what we have written for average. The formula remains the same. So rate is nothing but change in the concentration of the reactant. In terms of reactant, if you are writing minus sign, when you are writing in terms of product, it will be plus sign. So it is change in terms of concentration of the reactant with change in the time. Okay, so here minus, now you can see here D we have used. So this D is used for a small change, and the delta we are using for a large change. Okay, so that is the difference what you get in the instantaneous and in the average. There we are using delta, here we are making use of small d. Okay, so you can differentiate like that. Now for the product, I can write rate is equal to D concentration of the product divided by change in the time. Okay, so D concentration of product divided by dt. Okay, so D indicates, I said, it is used for the small change. So now plotting the graph, how exactly to find out the instantaneous rate of reaction. So in case of the reactant, you know that the concentration of the reactant is decreasing, you get a curve which is going downward. Now you plot a tangent, draw a tangent there. Okay, so that tangent is used to measure the slope. So when you draw a tangent, it goes like a straight line. Now take the slope of it. Okay, so draw the slope. So I'm taking one line on the y-axis and the other one on the x-axis. So y-axis is nothing but change in the concentration of the reactant, what you have got here this side. Okay, and then here on the x-axis side we have got the change, so that will be delta t dt. Okay, so now if you want to measure the slope, there is a formula. Slope formula is equal to, you know, it is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. You study in maths. Okay, so here y2 is the change, y2 minus y1 is the change in the concentration of the reactant. So y2 is the final reactant concentration and y1 is the initial reactant concentration. So you take that concentration, measure it, and then you will get the rate. So minus dr divided by dt, because you know the concentration of the reactant is decreasing, so you'll get a minus value for that. Okay, so this will be the slope for the reactant case. Similarly for the product case, product concentration is increasing, so you get a slope which is going up. Draw a tangent there. Okay, you can see the tangent which is drawn. Now take the slope on that tangent. Okay, because the interval of time is very small. Okay, you are taking the change, but that change may be 0.1 second or 0.001 second, like that. So it's a small change, so you take the difference in the concentration of the product. Okay, and then measure the slope, you will get the rate of the reaction. Okay, in instant period of time. You can directly draw a tangent like that tangent and then drop for a particular period of time and measure for that time what is the concentration. So that can also be done. But if you want a change, like you want to measure the change in the time, then you will be getting change in the concentration of the product. For instant of time also you can measure. So in that case you have to just drop a line, straight line, and for that straight line you measure how much is the concentration of the product. Okay, so that can be done in both the cases. Okay, now we will see the unit for the rate of the reaction. So rate, I hope now everyone knows, rate is change in the concentration divided by time. Okay, change in the time. So time I will write here. So now concentration we are measuring in terms of molarity. Okay, so concentration is measured in terms of molarity. Now unit for molarity, you know, it is mole per liter. Molarity is nothing but mole per liter. So I can substitute here in the place where the concentration is there, I have put mole per liter, and time, you know, is measured in terms of second. So unit for the rate of the reaction will be mole per liter per second. Okay, you can even write as mole liter inverse second inverse. So now let us discuss about the factors influencing the rate of the reaction, or I can say factors affecting the rate of the reaction. So we will see what are the factors which affect the rate of the reaction. Let me take about the first one, that is concentration of the reactant. Okay, so here initially I have taken where the container has less number of molecules. So when the concentration is very less number of molecules will be present inside the container. So when you have less number of molecules, the amount of collision which will happen also will be very less, because if you want a product to form, one molecule has to colloid with the another molecule to form a product. So here when the molecules are few, the collision also will be very few. So when there is less collision happening between the reactant molecules, the rate at which the product formed also will be very less. Okay, so here I can say rate of the reaction will be very low in this case. But if you are increasing the concentration, So when you increase the concentration, more number of molecules will be present in the container, more frequently they will colloid. Okay, so when more frequently when they colloid, more will be the like collision, I can say. So when the collision increases, automatically the rate of the reaction will become higher, because when you have larger number of reactant, more molecules are colloiding, the reaction will be occurring at a larger rate. Okay, so this, if you think properly, this makes sense in our daily life also. If you think about it, like imagine we are in a place where there is a large crowd. Okay, so there is more chances that we are going to bump into someone when we are in the crowded place than when we are in the place which is not so crowded. Okay, so this same thing happens with our molecule also. When the molecule doesn't have many particles around them, the collision which will occur will be very less. But when there is large number of molecules, as they are moving from one place to another place, they are more likely to collide with each other and give rise to the formation of the product. So in that case, the rate of the reaction will increase. So what we conclude from this is, when the less molecules are there, concentration is less, so rate is less. So when the concentration is increasing, the rate is also increasing. So I can say that rate is directly proportional to the concentration of the reactant. Now we will see the next factor, that is temperature. So if you see, let me take again the molecules in the container. So when you have molecules in the container and the temperature is very low, the kinetic energy of the particles also will be very less. So particles will be moving at a lower speed, I can say, when the temperature is very low. But when you increase the temperature, as the temperature increases, the kinetic energy of the molecule also increases. So when the kinetic energy, they get more energy from that temperature what they have taken in, and they start moving faster. So particles you will see moving at a higher rate. So when this happens, the kinetic energy, like when the temperature increases, the kinetic energy of the reactant particle also increases. So when that increases, the reactants start moving in a faster rate. So when they start moving at a faster rate, they will go and bump into one another. So collision will start increasing. So collision frequency increases. When collision increases, automatically the rate of the reaction also will increase. Okay, now last one is the presence of the catalyst. You know what is a catalyst is? A catalyst is a substance which influences the rate of the reaction but without undergoing any chemical change. Means they will alter the rate of the reaction but they will not undergo any change. At the end you will get the catalyst as it is. Okay, it will come out once the reaction is over and then you can again reuse it. So here catalyst increases or decreases, alter I have used the word. So it can either increase the rate of the reaction or it can sometimes decrease the rate of the reaction. Okay, like for example, now here I have taken example of formation of water. If you take hydrogen gas and oxygen gas together, okay, at normal room temperature, this oxygen and hydrogen doesn't react with each other unless you have a catalyst present. Now but if this hydrogen and oxygen are put in a finely divided platinum as a catalyst, then you will see that vigorous reaction takes place and they get converted in the form of water. Okay, so at normal room temperature the reaction is not happening, but when they are in the presence of a catalyst, the reaction happens at a faster rate. So this is what the catalyst does for the reaction. Here you can see the rate of the reaction is increasing. In detail again you will be learning about the catalyst, so there I'll be explaining in detail about this.